Welcome to Travel with Sean. I'm Sean. Today we're visiting the Hanging Temple of China, which is located about 1.5 hours from Datong City in Shanxi Province, China. And this temple was built about 1500 years ago in the year 491 AD, built by Buddhist monks to pray for the local people to stop the rain and stop the flooding. We're going to go up inside the temple, explore it, and I'll show you all around and tell you more about it.
The Hanging Temple, or Xuánkōng Sì in Chinese, was built directly into the cliff face of Mount Heng, one of China's 5 sacred mountains. It's also significant in that it was designed to serve 3 traditions simultaneously: Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. This reflects a long-standing Chinese ideal of religious harmony. The ancient Chinese did not treat these traditions as mutually exclusive. Individuals would pray to Buddhist figures for spiritual merit, Taoist figures for longevity or balance, and to Confucius for wisdom and ethical guidance. Ritual use of the temple evolved over time, but it consistently remained a shared sacred space, not a contested one. The Hanging Temple consists of 3 multi-story halls, often referred to as pavilions, connected along the cliff face by narrow wooden walkways, stairs, and ladders. In addition, there are 6 smaller halls and rooms interspersed along the path, forming a complex network of spaces, though some of these minor structures are not always counted consistently. It was built without nails because the ancient Chinese did not use nails in the construction of religious buildings, because nail-free construction symbolized unity, continuity, and moral order. Besides that, interlocking wooden joints and bracket systems allowed structures to flex during earthquakes, wind, and ground settlement. The climb up is steep, covering a great distance from the valley floor to the temple above. By the time you reach the top, you understand why there is a bench here. Visitors need a moment to pause, catch their breath, and take in the view before continuing. They put this fence up over the stairs to avoid injuries from falling rocks. And after climbing 4 sets of steep steps, we come to 2 more sets. This is all before we can reach the first part of the temple. At last, we reach a modern doorway, a sturdy brick entrance likely added in the 20th century to protect this historic and sacred site. Here is the first observation point. This first level alone is about 245 feet above the valley floor, placing the temple firmly between the human world below and the sacred mountains around it. In this hall, we find our access to the next level. We must climb up a steep staircase that almost resembles a ladder. Some visitors pause here to take in the view, while below, hundreds more follow the paths and wait their turn to climb up to the temple. Because the walkways are narrow and the temple was built into the cliff, access is limited. Typically, only a few dozen people are allowed inside at one time. Tickets are typically purchased online in advance, with timed entry used to control the flow of visitors, although foreign passport holders can buy their tickets on site on the day they want to visit. The Hanging Temple was built over 27 wooden poles driven directly into the cliff face. Its framework is almost entirely from timber, although there are some modern additions, such as brick walls over the cliff rocks. The glazed roof tiles protect the structure, and some iron reinforcements were added in the 20th and 21st centuries. But at its core, this is a remarkable feat of wood and stone engineering. I mentioned earlier that access is limited due in part to the narrow walkways. Here you can see that they are just wide enough for visitors to move through in single file. Each of these wooden structures is made up of Buddhist and or Taoist prayer halls. Like this one appears to be Buddhist. We can see an altar with the Buddha surrounded by guardians. And the next one shows a Bodhisattva, Buddha, and more guardians. As we climb the stairs to the top of the highest pavilion, there are signs posted warning visitors of a couple potential hazards. Don't trust the railings to keep you from falling over. And it's dangerous to climb over the railings or to walk outside of them. Personally, I would think that second part would be pretty obvious. The view from up here is spectacular, and you can see they now have a dam here, reinforcing the legend that the temple was built to pray for an end of the flooding. Sanjiao Three Teachings Hall, is one of the most significant and symbolic chambers in this temple complex. On the left, we have Confucius, and in the center is Sakyamuni Buddha. And then to the right is Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism. These statues represent the Buddhist presence here, reminding visitors that this site was first established by Buddhist monks more than 1,500 years ago. These were focal points for meditation and prayer, literally suspended between the earthly world below and the sacred mountain itself. As I previously said, this is not a single faith sanctuary. The Hanging Temple honors Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism side by side, and the blended roof colors reinforce that idea visually. Instead of assigning one color to one belief, the builders merged them across the entire complex, emphasizing coexistence rather than separation. High above the valley floor, the yellow and green roofs serve as a quiet reminder that different philosophies can share the same foundation. I mentioned the steep stairs earlier. Here you can see just how steep they generally are. They tend to be narrow, and some don't even have a handrail. Now we've come to the most important hall of the temple. As such, it's called the Grand Hall. And the first thing I noticed was this incense burner. Doesn't it look like a bench? It's amazing that they burned incense on a wooden bench in a wooden hall built over wooden poles hundreds of feet above the valley below. Behind this glass are three Buddhas, past, present, and future, with a Bodhisattva standing nearby. In front of them is a stork balanced on the back of a turtle. The turtle represents endurance and longevity, a creature believed to carry the weight of time itself. The stork signifies long life and spiritual ascent. Together, they express a balance between heaven and earth. The turtle anchors the scene in stability and tradition, while the stork suggests transcendence and renewal. The descent is every bit as demanding as the climb. The stairs are steep, and the clearance is low, and the margins for error are slim. Built for monks centuries ago, not for modern visitors. This part of the temple requires slow, deliberate movement and constant awareness. It's a reminder that preserving an ancient structure like this means adapting ourselves to the space, not the other way around. Passing through this doorway, we leave the ancient part of the temple behind, and almost immediately everything becomes modern again. The Hanging Temple represents the fusion of what the Chinese call the three teachings: Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. One could say that this painting of the religious founders, Confucius, Buddha, and Lao Tzu, demonstrates that fusion. There are a lot of stairs going up and going down, but that should be expected since the temple was built more than 245 feet above ground. Every level reflects the challenge of building and moving through a structure suspended high above the valley below. When you finally get to the bottom, there's a good view of the temple before you leave. A great spot for some final photos.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for traveling along with me. I always appreciate your support. Until next time, 再见. Bye bye.